Welcome to today's explainer. What if today was the last day anyone on Earth would ever die of old age? For thousands of years, death has been one of humanity's few absolute certainties. Every culture, every philosophy, it's all built around the fundamental fact that our time here is strictly limited. But imagine a future where scientists finally discover a way to stop aging completely. Today, we're taking that ultimate human fantasy of living forever and we're grounding it in actual scientific and sociological reality. So let's just dive right into this thought experiment. Think about it. What if the clock just stopped? Imagine a future, and honestly, it might be closer than we think, where scientists actually crack the biological code. Now, this isn't just about tagging on a few extra years at the end. It's about totally eliminating the diseases linked to aging. At first, obviously, this breakthrough would be celebrated as the absolute greatest achievement in human history. But as we're going to see today, solving the problem of death, well, it actually creates a whole new set of problems for the living. And here is what's really wild. This isn't just science fiction anymore. Right now, as we speak, some of the wealthiest people on the planet are pouring massive amounts of their fortunes into anti-aging biotechnology. We're talking tech billionaires, guys like Peter Thiel, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg. They're heavily invested in literally reversing the aging process. Back in 2013, Google even launched a company called Calico, and their explicit mission was to literally solve death. So the question in the scientific community is rapidly shifting from, is this even possible, to simply, when is it going to happen? Now, the absolute key to understanding this breakthrough is visualizing what this immortality actually looks like. The ultimate goal of all this regenerative medicine isn't to just stretch out the frailties of old age, right? No, the goal is to keep us indefinitely young and indefinitely vigorous. If this happens, humanity might enter a golden age unlike anything we've ever seen. People could live for centuries. You'd have the physical health of a 20-something, but the accumulated wisdom of hundreds of years. We could literally watch generations of history unfold right before our very eyes. Proponents of extreme life extension, like the researcher Aubrey de Grey, they truly believe that centuries of life would completely invigorate people. I mean, think about it. You could pursue endless dreams, master countless skills, start entirely new careers, all without the pressure of a ticking clock. There are things no one even attempts today because they feel like they just won't have the time. But with an endless horizon, human ambition could absolutely skyrocket. Before we explore the dark side of this utopian dream, if you're enjoying these mind-bending future scenarios, make sure to like this explainer, share it with a friend, and subscribe to Last Human Era for more incredible journeys into the future. All right, let's keep going. Section 1. A crowded, endless world. Okay, so here's the catch. If nobody grows old and dies, what happens when billions of new people continue being born every single year? We live on a planet with finite space and finite resources, right? As decades turn into centuries, overcrowding could become one of humanity's absolute greatest challenges. To avoid a total system collapse, society would be forced to adapt, and we'd need some pretty extreme logistical measures. We're talking building unimaginably dense megacities. Governments might even be forced to introduce strict population controls. Think about it, maybe even mandatory global sterilization, meaning a world where no new children are ever born again. Or maybe it forces rapid off-world colonization, where we have to expand to the stars simply because we have literally run out of room to stand on Earth. And because of all this, our everyday social structures would just completely shatter. Think about the basic institutions of your life. Till death do us part takes on a pretty terrifying new weight when you might be married to the exact same person for 4 or 5 centuries. Plus, the whole concept of retirement, that would disappear entirely. To keep social security and global economies afloat, working years would necessarily become endless. You wouldn't just work for 40 years and retire, you might be working for 400 years. Let that sink in. Moving on to Section 2, the immortality divide. So the logistics of space and work are really only half the battle here. Let's examine the socioeconomic reality of who actually gets access to this miracle cure. There's a fascinating piece by Frank Pasquale in the Yale Journal of Law and the Humanities, and he points out that immortality could create the ultimate permanent class divide. He highlights this fearful symmetry in our current world. For instance, while surgeons in France were perfecting the very first human hand transplants, people in other parts of the world were literally having their hands cut off in brutal conflicts. We already live in a world where wealthy elites can purchase cutting-edge treatments, while millions globally still lack access to basic stuff like plumbing or vaccines. So, if an anti-aging cure is developed, we'd face the terrifying prospect of parallel populations. On one side, you'd have a small minority in elite, technologically advanced nations spending billions to stay indefinitely young. And on the flip side, We have developing nations where over 100 million people are still living on less than $1 a day. Access to immortality could permanently split humanity into two entirely distinct species: mortals, who are left fighting preventable diseases, and immortals, who have essentially just bought their way out of death. Which brings us to Section 3, the weight of forever. Now let's pivot inward for a second and explore the heavy psychological toll that an endless existence would take. Let's say you could afford to live forever, and let's say we even found space for everyone. Could your brain actually handle eternity? Bioethicists like Daniel Callahan, they warn that an endless life wouldn't necessarily breed a society of brilliant innovators and artists. Instead, it could just result in profound, chronic boredom. If you work a job you don't love today, imagine doing it for 1,000 years. Critics argue that instead of writing brilliant symphonies, some people may become trapped in endless routines. That leads to massive societal burnout and a culture completely devoid of fresh, youthful ideas. And this brings up a super critical question about human capacity. Gerontologist Paul Hayflick argues that over thousands of years, as we continuously replace our aging body parts, our brains might literally just run out of capacity to hold centuries of memories. We might lose our very identity. If you forget your past and every single part of your body has been swapped out synthetically over the centuries, are you even the same person who made the choice to live forever in the first place? Others would just completely struggle with the heavy psychological weight of living forever. Section 4. Does death give meaning? This really brings us to a profound philosophical crossroad. Is life still valuable or even recognizable if it never actually ends? Scholars kind of divide this concept into two camps. Throughout history, humans have chased positive immortality, the desire to live on through the great legacy, the art, or the institutions you leave behind for future generations. But biotechnology, it offers what is called negative immortality. This is just the sterile, endless evasion of biological death. It hinges completely on mere survival. If there are no future generations to leave a legacy to, because no one is dying and no one is being born, then what exactly are we striving for? Some philosophers, like Leon Kass, argue really strongly for the virtues of mortality. He suggests that the very fact our days are numbered is exactly what forces us to make them count. It's that deadline, the deadline of death, that gives us the urgency to love, to create, and to build meaning in our lives. Without that deadline, history, culture, and even human ambition could begin to drastically change. Time itself would lose all meaning. The dream of immortality may slowly transform into a question no one expected. Is life still valuable when it never ends? In the end, what starts as a utopian dream of endless learning and boundless health could slowly transform into an incredibly crowded, deeply unequal world. We might cure death, yeah, but in the process, we might accidentally cure the very thing that makes us human. And if these future possibilities fascinate you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because every week we explore the most incredible futures humanity may face. Ultimately, defeating death could become humanity's greatest victory, or its most dangerous mistake, forever changing what it means to be alive. So I leave you with this final thought for today's explainer. If you were offered immortality today, would you accept it and live forever, or would you choose a